The conference room aboard the Coalition flagship was cold. At least it felt cold to the humans sitting at the far end of the massive table. Lieutenant Hannah pulled her uniform jacket tighter around her shoulders and watched as Admiral Vess moved around the holographic display with sharp, agitated movements. The Admiral was tall, nearly 3 meters, with a dark exoskeleton that gleamed under the artificial lights. Forearms gestured at the rotating image of a massive structure floating in space. 2 antennae on his head twitched constantly. A sign that other species had learned meant irritation. "This is the 4th attempt," Admiral Vess said, his translator rendering his clicking speech into flat, emotionless words. 4 crews, 4 failures. The Vraxian team lasted 31 minutes before their heat shielding failed. The Klendari, who evolved on a volcanic world, managed only 38 minutes before evacuation became necessary. Both teams suffered permanent damage. We lost 3 personnel entirely. Captain Minho sat perfectly still, his hands folded on the table in front of him. Next to him, Dr. Yuna was taking notes on her datapad. Hannah knew they were both listening carefully, waiting for the right moment to speak. The hologram showed the megastructure in detail now. It was ancient, built by a species that no longer existed. The technology inside could change everything for the Coalition. Faster-than-light travel could improve by decades. Trade routes that took months could be reduced to weeks. It was worth the risk, everyone agreed. But no one could survive long enough to retrieve it. "The structure is located in the scorching belt," Vess continued. His antennae pointed directly at the human delegation. 3 binary star systems converge in this region. The thermal radiation is constant and lethal. External temperature reaches 340 degrees Celsius. Inside the structure, sensors indicate 338 degrees. A Vraxian officer, her scales still showing discoloration from her team's failed attempt, spoke up. "The technology requires manual calibration. It cannot be done remotely. Someone must go inside, work for approximately 47 minutes and complete a precise sequence. My team tried. We were trained for heat resistance."
"We failed." Hannah watched the hologram rotate slowly.
The structure was beautiful in its own way, all smooth curves and impossible angles. She could see the entry point, the interior corridors, the chamber where the technology waited. 47 minutes. That was all it would take. "We have exhausted our options," Admiral Vess said. He stopped moving and turned to face the humans directly. "I have called you here as a formality. Your species has been part of the Coalition for only 12 years. You are not known for environmental resilience. Frankly, your reputation suggests the opposite." Captain Minho smiled slightly. It was not a friendly expression. "Go on, Admiral." "Humans require narrow temperature ranges for survival. Your blood is mostly water. You cannot tolerate cold. You cannot tolerate heat. Your own planet has regions where you simply cannot live without artificial climate control." Vess's antennae curved forward, a gesture of challenge. "I am told you collapse in your own deserts, that your skin burns under your own sun. Why would I send fragile water bags into an environment that killed species far more durable?" The room went very quiet. Several alien officers shifted uncomfortably. The Vraxian officer looked away. Even Vess seemed to realize he had gone too far, but he did not apologize. Instead, he waited. Captain Minho stood up slowly. He was not a tall man, barely reaching Vess's chest, but he had a presence that filled the room anyway. "Admiral, I appreciate your honesty. You are correct that humans require specific conditions for comfort. We do not have thick scales. We do not have heat-resistant exoskeletons. We evolved on a planet with moderate temperatures." He walked around the table until he stood next to the hologram. "But we did not evolve to be comfortable, Admiral. We evolved to endure. Dr. Yuna, would you like to explain?" Dr. Yuna stood and approached the holographic display. She was younger than Minho, with sharp eyes and an easy confidence. "Admiral Vess, what do you know about human thermoregulation?" "Thermo what?" one of the other officers asked. "How we manage heat," Yuna explained. "Most species in the Coalition evolved to resist their environment. Thick skin, reflective scales, internal cooling systems. You built defenses against temperature. Humans did something different." She pulled up an image of a human body, highlighting the skin in blue light. "We have approximately 2 million sweat glands covering our bodies. When we get hot, we secrete water through our skin. As that water evaporates, it pulls heat away from our body. This is active cooling, not passive resistance." Admiral Vess's antennae twitched. "You cool yourselves by leaking?" "Essentially, yes," Yuna said. On Earth, our ancestors hunted by chasing prey animals in the midday heat. The prey would run fast, overheat quickly, and collapse. Humans would follow at a steady pace, sweating constantly, maintaining a safe core temperature for hours. We would literally run our prey to death through heat exhaustion. The room was silent now. Several officers were looking at their datapads, apparently checking if this information was accurate. Your reputation as fragile is based on a misunderstanding, Captain Minho said quietly. We die in extreme cold because we generate heat constantly and cannot stop it. We avoid deserts not because we cannot survive there, but because it is uncomfortable and dangerous without preparation. But with water and minimal equipment, humans can function in heat that would kill most species in this room within minutes. Admiral Vess stared at the human delegation for a long moment. You are volunteering for this mission? Yes, Minho said. You understand the risks? The temperature. The time requirement. The previous failures. We do. And you believe you can succeed where others have not. Captain Minho smiled again. Admiral, my home city regularly reaches 48 degrees Celsius in summer. Lieutenant Hana, who will lead the field team, grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. She worked construction in 50-degree heat. Engineer Doyen, her partner, is from Daegu. He knows heat. We are not guessing about our capabilities. We are stating facts. Admiral Vess's antennae lowered slightly. It was a gesture of consideration, Hana had learned. The Admiral was actually thinking about it. If you fail, Vess said slowly, you will die. The Coalition will lose 3 promising officers. The technology will remain unreachable. And humans will have proven that they are indeed too fragile for this kind of work. If we succeed, Minho countered, the Coalition gains the technology, and perhaps learns something about humanity in the process. Vess was quiet for another moment, then his antennae rose sharply. Very well. Prepare your team. You have 48 hours, but I will be watching, Captain, and if your people show any signs of distress, I will abort the mission immediately. I will not lose more personnel to this cursed structure. Understood, Admiral, Minho said. He turned to Hana and nodded once. Hana stood, feeling the weight of every alien eye in the room on her. 47 minutes in 338 degrees. Most species would cook alive. But humans were not most species. She thought about summer afternoons in Phoenix, working on roof repairs while the sun beat down mercilessly. She thought about marathon runners who competed in desert heat. She thought about her grandmother, who used to say that humans were too stubborn to know when to quit. We will be ready. Admiral, Hana said. As the human delegation left the conference room, she heard one of the alien officers whisper to another, Do you think they understand what they are volunteering for? The second officer replied, I think they understand better than we do. The briefing room was packed with officers from a dozen different species. Word had spread quickly through the flagship that the humans were actually going through with the mission. Some came out of curiosity. Others came to witness what they assumed would be a spectacular failure in planning, if not in execution. Hana stood at the front of the room with Engineer Doyen beside her. He was a compact man with steady hands and an easy smile. They had worked together for 2 years, ever since the human contingent joined the Coalition fleet. She trusted him with her life, which was convenient, since that was exactly what she was about to do. The structure's interior is a maze, Doyen was saying, pointing at the 3-dimensional map floating above the table. We have mapped it using sensor drones, but the technology at the center requires physical interaction. Someone has to go in, navigate to the core, and manually adjust 17 different calibration points in the correct sequence. How long did the previous teams last? Someone asked. The Vraxian team made it to calibration point 12 before they had to evacuate, Hana answered. That was 31 minutes in. The Klendari team reached point 14 at 38 minutes. Both teams suffered severe thermal damage. The Klendari lost 1 member to heat stroke after extraction. A heavy silence filled the room. Heat stroke meant brain damage. For the silicon-based Klendari, who were resistant to temperatures that would melt most metals, this was almost unheard of. Admiral Vess entered the room and everyone stood. He waved them back to their seats with one of his 4 hands. Continue, Lieutenant, Hana nodded. The total time requirement is 47 minutes from entry to completion. This includes transit time, calibration work, and securing the technology for extraction. We cannot rush the calibration. If we make mistakes, we have to start over. Impossible, someone muttered. Medic Jiwon stood up from her seat in the back. She was small even for a human, but she had a voice that carried. "May I address the room, Lieutenant?" "Please," Hana said, stepping aside. Ji-won walked to the front and pulled up a file on the display. A human body appeared, rendered in detail with various systems highlighted in different colors. "I have prepared a presentation on human thermal biology. I believe it will answer many questions about why we think this mission is possible." Admiral Vess's antennae twitched. "We do not need a biology lesson, medic." "With respect, Admiral, I think you do," Ji-won said calmly. "Because if you understood human biology, you would not have called us waterbags yesterday." A ripple of surprise went through the room. No one spoke to Admiral Vess that way, but Vess simply tilted his head, antennae rising in what might have been amusement. "Very well. Educate us," Ji-won smiled and began. "Humans evolved on Earth as persistence hunters. Our prey was faster than us, stronger than us, and often larger. But we had one advantage. We could run in the heat of day when other animals had to rest." She highlighted the skin on the diagram. "We have 2 million sweat glands. When we exercise or experience heat, these glands secrete water mixed with salts. As the water evaporates, it removes heat from our skin. This is evaporative cooling, the most efficient biological cooling system in known nature." "Leaking," Admiral Vess said dryly. "Controlled leaking," Ji-won corrected. "The human body can produce up to 4 liters of sweat per hour in extreme conditions. This allows us to maintain a core temperature of approximately 37 degrees Celsius, even when external temperatures exceed 50 degrees. A Klendari officer raised a crystalline hand. "Our species can withstand 600 degrees Celsius for short periods. Your numbers are not impressive." "You can withstand it," Ji-won agreed. "You survive by resisting the heat, by being tougher than the environment. Humans do not resist. We manage, we adapt. We can work actively for hours in heat that would force you to remain still and endure." She pulled up another chart. During the failed missions, both teams were essentially cooking from the inside out. Their bodies tried to resist the heat, but heat always wins eventually. The human body, however, does not try to resist. It sheds heat continuously and aggressively. Doyen spoke up from the side. "Think of it like this. You are all wearing armor against the heat. Very good armor. But eventually the armor fails, and when it does, you have no backup. Humans are not wearing armor. We are wearing a cooling system. As long as we have water, we can keep working." "But you will lose 4 liters of water per hour?" another officer asked. "How do you survive that?" "We drink," Hana said simply. "Our suits are equipped with hydration systems. We drink constantly, we sweat constantly, and we stay cool. It is not complicated." Admiral Vess leaned forward. "And what happens when you run out of water?" "Then we have a problem," Ji-won admitted. "But we have calculated our water requirements precisely. Each suit carries 8 liters. For a 47-minute mission, we will need approximately 3 liters per person. We have more than double what we need." A reptilian officer named Commander Tavik raised his clawed hand. "I have a question. If humans are so good with heat, why do you wear clothing? Why not maximize this evaporative cooling?" "Because sweat needs air exposure to evaporate efficiently," Ji-won explained. "Our mission suits are specially designed. They are not insulated like the suits previous teams used. Instead, they are ventilated. They allow sweat to reach the surface and evaporate while protecting us from direct radiation." She pulled up an image of the suit design. It looked almost fragile compared to the heavy protective gear the other species used. Thin material, mesh panels, integrated hydration tubes. "We are not trying to block the heat. We are trying to manage it." Admiral Vess studied the suit design for a long moment. "This seems dangerously minimal." "It is exactly what we need," Hana said. "The Varaxian suits were too insulated. The Klendari suits were designed for resistance, not cooling. Our suits work with our biology, not against it." "There is one more thing," Ji-won said. She looked around the room, making eye contact with several officers. "Human core temperature is normally 37 degrees Celsius. During intense activity and heat, this can rise to 39 or even 40 degrees. For most of you, this would be fatal. For humans, this is just a really hard workout." "That is fever temperature," someone said, sounding shocked. "For you," Ji-won agreed. "For us, it is Tuesday." A small laugh went through the human delegation. The aliens looked confused. "She is joking," Captain Minho explained. "But the point stands. Humans operate at temperatures that would indicate severe illness in most species. We are, by galactic standards, always running a low-grade fever. This gives us a buffer that other species do not have. Admiral Vest stood and approached the holographic display. He studied the suit design, the mission timeline, the biological data. His antennae were perfectly still now, which Hana had learned meant he was thinking very carefully. "You are telling me," Vest said slowly, "that humans evolved to be persistently uncomfortable in exchange for operational flexibility." "That is an excellent way to put it, Admiral," Captain Minho said. "We are never perfectly comfortable. We are always managing our temperature, always adjusting, but this means we can function in conditions that would kill species adapted for comfort." Vest turned to face the human delegation. "I still believe this is extremely risky, but I'm beginning to understand why you volunteered. You are not being brave or foolish. You genuinely believe you can do this." "We know we can do this," Hana said firmly. "I grew up in 50-degree heat, Admiral. I spent summers working outside when other people stayed indoors. 47 minutes at 338 degrees with proper preparation is challenging but achievable. In Phoenix," Doyen added, "people jog in 45-degree weather. For fun. Humans are weird about heat, Admiral. We do not like it, but we are very good at dealing with it." Admiral Vess's antennae lowered in what Hana now recognized as respect. "Very well. You have convinced me that you understand the risks and have planned accordingly. I am authorizing the mission. But Lieutenant Hana, Engineer Doyen, I want continuous vital monitoring. If either of you shows signs of distress, I am pulling you out immediately." "Understood, Admiral," Hana said. As the briefing ended and officers filed out, Hana heard conversations in a dozen languages, all discussing the same thing. Could humans really do this? Were they underestimating the danger? Or had everyone else been overestimating what it took to survive heat? Commander Tavik approached Hana as she was gathering her materials. "Lieutenant, I have been thinking about what your medic said. About persistence hunting." "Yes, Commander? Your ancestors would chase prey until it collapsed from heat, and you are about to chase ancient technology in the same way. This is very human of you," Hana smiled. "I suppose it is." "I am beginning to understand why your species fascinates the Coalition," Tavik said. "You do not overcome obstacles. You simply outlast them." As Hana left the briefing room, she felt the weight of expectations settling on her shoulders. Dozens of species would be watching. Some hoped she would succeed. Others expected her to fail. But none of them truly understood what humans were capable of. In 48 hours, they would learn. The shuttle was small and light, designed for speed rather than comfort. Hana sat in the passenger compartment with Doyen, both of them running through final equipment checks. Their suits hung on the wall beside them, looking thin and inadequate compared to the heavy protective gear stored elsewhere on the ship. Pilot Soman called back from the cockpit. "We are 30 minutes from the structure. Current cabin temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. That will change soon." "Copy that," Hana replied. She looked at Doyen. "Ready?" "I was born ready," he said, grinning. "Though I admit this is more exciting than fixing air recyclers." On the flagship, Admiral Vess watched the shuttle's progress on the main display. The command center was crowded with officers from multiple departments, all wanting to witness the mission. Medic G1 stood at a monitoring station, tracking Hana and Doyen's vital signs. "Their heart rates are elevated," an alien medical officer observed. "They may be experiencing stress." "They are experiencing anticipation," G1 corrected. "This is normal for humans before a challenging task. Watch their breathing. Steady and controlled. They are fine." Captain Minho stood beside Admiral Vess, arms crossed, watching the display. The shuttle was a small dot moving toward the massive structure that floated in the convergence zone. Even on the screen, the heat shimmer was visible, space itself distorted by the intense thermal radiation. "Captain," Vess said quietly, "if this goes badly—" "It will not go badly, Admiral," Minho said. "But if it does, the responsibility is mine. I authorized this mission. I selected the team." "No," Vess said, antennae dipping. "If it goes badly, the responsibility is mine. I questioned their capability. I insulted their species. And I approved a mission that may kill them. That is command, Captain. We carry the weight together." Minho glanced at the Admiral, surprised. "Thank you, Admiral." In the shuttle, the temperature was rising. The cockpit display showed 25 degrees, then 28, then 32. The shuttle's cooling system was running at minimal power, conserving energy for the return trip. This meant the humans would experience the heat gradually, allowing their bodies to adjust. At 35 degrees Celsius, Hana felt the first beads of sweat forming on her forehead. She wiped them away absently and continued checking her equipment. The calibration tools were secured. The hydration system was full. The suit environmental monitors were functioning perfectly. 40 degrees, Somin announced. Right on schedule. The structure is in visual range now. Hana moved to the viewport and looked out. The megastructure was enormous, easily 5 kilometers across, a sphere of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. 3 binary star systems burned in the distance, their combined output creating the hellish environment that protected the structure. Beautiful, Doyen said, joining her at the viewport. And terrifying. 45 degrees, Somin said. Her voice was calm, but Hana noticed the pilot's uniform was darkening with sweat at the collar. Everyone doing okay back there? Fine, Hana said. She unzipped her jacket and pulled it off, hanging it on a hook. The cooler air against her damp shirt felt good. Just getting comfortable. On the flagship, several officers made sounds of surprise as they watched the video feed from the shuttle. The human lieutenant had just removed her jacket in an environment that was already hotter than most species' comfort zones. Is she overheating already? Someone asked. No, Ji-Wan said, studying the vital signs. She is beginning active thermoregulation. Her body is starting to sweat. Removing the jacket improves evaporation efficiency. This is exactly what we expected. At 45 degrees, Commander Tavik said, we are not even close to the structure yet. Humans begin sweating at environmental temperatures around 30 degrees, Ji-Wan explained. Sometimes lower if they are active. Lieutenant Hana is simply managing her heat load proactively. In the shuttle, the temperature continued to climb. 50 degrees, 55, 60. Doyen rolled up his sleeves and loosened his collar. Somin had removed her jacket as well, her hands steady on the controls despite the sweat running down her face. 65 degrees, Somin announced. Approaching docking range. Structure interior temperature reads 336 degrees Celsius. That is actually 2 degrees cooler than expected. Lucky us, Doyen said. He was grinning, but Hana could see the tension in his shoulders. This was really happening. They were really doing this. All stations, this is the flagship. Admiral Vess's voice came through the communication system. We are monitoring your vitals. Lieutenant Hana, your core temperature has risen to 38.2 degrees Celsius. Are you experiencing any distress? Negative, Admiral, Hana replied. I am sweating normally. Hydration is good. No dizziness, no nausea. I am ready to proceed. Engineer Doyen. Also fine, Admiral, Doyen said. Though I'm looking forward to a cold shower after this. Several humans on the flagship laughed. The aliens looked confused. Why would anyone want a cold shower? 70 degrees cabin temperature, Somin reported. Initiating docking procedure. Contact in 2 minutes. Hana and Doyun moved to the equipment locker and began putting on their suits. The material was thin, almost like athletic wear, with mesh panels along the sides and back, hydration tubes connected to reservoirs on their backs. The helmets were clear visors with minimal environmental sealing, just enough to provide breathable air and protect their faces from direct radiation. These suits look like they are designed for jogging, not for a furnace, an alien officer observed on the flagship. That is intentional, Ji-Wan said. Heavy insulation would trap heat. These suits allow maximum evaporation while providing necessary protection. Think of them as wearable cooling systems. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud. Somin locked the connection and ran diagnostics. Seal is good. Airlock is functional. Interior atmosphere is breathable but hot. 334 degrees Celsius. Copy that, Hana said. She finished sealing her suit and activated the hydration system. Cool water flowed through the tubes and she took several long drinks. The water would become her lifeline for the next 47 minutes. Doyen was ready as well, his suit monitors showing green across the board. He picked up the equipment case, its contents secured against the heat. Well, here we go. Just like summer in Daegu, right? If Daegu was inside a volcano, Hana replied. She moved to the airlock door and placed her hand on the control panel. Admiral Vess, we are preparing to enter the structure. Request permission to proceed. There was a pause. Hana imagined the Admiral staring at the display, antennae twitching, weighing the decision one final time. Then his voice came through formal and clear. Permission granted, Lieutenant. Good luck, and Lieutenant, prove me wrong about the water bags comment. Hana smiled inside her helmet. Will do, Admiral. She opened the airlock door. Heat washed over them like a physical force. The suit's environmental monitor immediately screamed warnings. Temperature 334 degrees Celsius. Humidity near zero. Radiation extreme. Hana stepped into the structure. Her suit's cooling system activated instantly. Fans pulling air across her skin, enhancing the evaporation of sweat. She felt moisture forming all over her body. The familiar sensation of a hot day taken to an extreme level. Temperature reading confirmed, she reported. 334 degrees. I'm sweating heavily. Core temperature is 38.4 degrees. All systems normal. Doyen stepped through behind her. Same here. Wow, it is spicy in here. Starting the chronometer now. 47 minutes starting now. On the flagship, the command center was absolutely silent. Every screen showed data from the human team. Heart rates elevated but steady. Breathing fast but controlled. Skin temperature rising but core temperature stable. Sweat production at maximum. They are actually doing it, someone whispered. They have been inside for 30 seconds, Commander Tavik said. The Vraxian team lasted 31 minutes. Let us not celebrate prematurely. But Admiral Vess was watching the video feed with an expression that might have been wonder. The two humans were moving through the structure with purpose, not panic. They were not struggling or gasping. They were working. Hana consulted her wrist display, checking the route to the first calibration point. The interior of the structure was dim, lit only by emergency lighting that had somehow survived millennia. The walls were smooth and dark, radiating heat like the inside of an oven. First calibration point in sight, she reported, proceeding to initial setup. She knelt beside the first console and Doyen opened the equipment case. The tools inside were still cool, a strange contrast to the inferno around them. Hana pulled out the calibration device and connected it to the console. Calibration point 1, engaging, she said. Her hands were steady despite the sweat pouring down her face. The visor's internal fans kept her vision clear, blowing air across the inside surface. The console lit up, ancient technology responding to her touch. She adjusted 3 different parameters, cross-checking against the specifications they had memorized. 30 seconds, 45 seconds. 1 minute, calibration point 1 complete, she announced. Moving to point 2. Elapsed time, 3 minutes, 12 seconds on the flagship. Medic Jiwan was smiling. Core temperatures are 38.7 degrees for both of them. Elevated, yes, but well within safe parameters. Sweat production. Calibration point 5 was giving them trouble. The console had degraded over thousands of years, and the interface was responding slowly. Hana's fingers moved carefully over the controls, making tiny adjustments while Doyen held the diagnostic scanner steady. Come on, she muttered. Just need you to accept this input. Elapsed time is 16 minutes, Doyen said. His voice was strained but steady. We are still ahead of schedule. Core temp are 39.1. On the flagship, the tension was thick enough to cut. Admiral Vess stood perfectly still, all 4 arms held close to his body, antennae focused on the main display. The humans had already exceeded the Vraxian team's record by several minutes, but they were only at the 5th calibration point. They needed to reach 17. Their core temperatures are rising, an alien medical officer said nervously. 39.1 degrees. This is dangerous, yes? For you, absolutely, Medic Jiwan said without taking her eyes off the vital signs display. For humans, this is the high end of normal during intense exercise. Marathon runners regularly operate at these temperatures. Watch their sweat output. It is still strong. Their cooling system is working. But how long can they maintain this? Commander Tavik asked. Long enough, Captain Minho said. He hoped he was right. Inside the structure, Hana felt sweat running down every part of her body. The suit's ventilation system was working overtime, pulling moisture away from her skin and allowing it to evaporate. She could feel the cooling effect, but it was a constant battle. The heat was everywhere, pressing in from all sides. Got it, she said as the console finally accepted her input. Point 5 complete. Moving to 6. They moved through the dark corridors following the route they had memorized. The structure was like a maze, but they had studied the maps until they could navigate it in their sleep. Which was good because concentrating was getting harder. Doyen, how are you doing? Hana asked. Hot, he replied. Very hot, but okay. How about you? Same, drinking water every 2 minutes like Jiwan told us. Good, because you are looking a bit red, Hana laughed. It came out breathless. You too. We probably look like tomatoes right now. Tomatoes with high-tech equipment, Doyen agreed. The most capable tomatoes in the galaxy. Despite the situation, Hana smiled. Doyen's sense of humor was helping. It gave her something to focus on besides the relentless heat. They reached calibration point 6 and got to work. On the flagship, a Clendari scientist named Eris was frantically recording data. Her crystalline fingers moved across multiple screens at once, capturing every detail of human thermal regulation in real time. This is incredible, she said to anyone who would listen. Look at their sweat output. 4.2 liters per hour. They are essentially creating their own cooling system in real time. But they will run out of water, someone said. Their suits carry 8 liters each, Eris replied. At their current rate, they have enough for approximately 90 minutes of operation. The mission is only 47 minutes. They have enormous safety margins built in. Admiral Vess glanced at the scientist. You sound impressed. I am, Eris said simply. The Clendari solution to heat is resistance. We build our bodies to withstand high temperatures. But there is always a limit. The humans are not trying to withstand anything. They are actively managing the heat continuously every second. It is elegant. It is efficient. It is brilliant. 23 minutes into the mission, Hana and Doyen reached calibration point 9. They were past the halfway point now, and both of them were feeling it. Hana's core temperature had reached 39.5 degrees Celsius. Doyen was at 39.3. Their heart rates were elevated, their breathing faster than normal. This is where the Vraxian team had to evacuate, Doyen said. He was kneeling beside the console, hands shaking slightly as he connected the diagnostic tool. They made it to point 12, but they were already in distress here. We are not Vraxian, Hana said. She took another long drink from her hydration tube. The water was warm now, heated by the environment, but it was still water. It was still life. We can do this. I know, Doyen said, just acknowledging the elephant in the room. The very hot elephant. The extremely hot elephant in the extremely hot room. They worked in silence for a few minutes, completing the calibration. Hana's hands were steady despite the heat, despite the fatigue. She had done harder things than this. She had worked construction in Phoenix summers, carrying materials up ladders in 50-degree heat. She had run half marathons in weather that made tourists faint. She was human. She could endure. Point 9 complete, she reported, moving to 10. Elapsed time, 27 minutes. On the flagship, several officers were starting to believe. The humans had exceeded all expectations. They were past the point where the Vraxian team failed. They were approaching the point where the Clendari team had to evacuate. And they were still moving with purpose, still communicating clearly, still working efficiently. Their core temperatures are very high. The alien medical officer said again. He sounded worried. But stable, Jiwan countered. Look at the trend line. It is rising very slowly now. Their bodies have adapted to the heat load. They are in thermal equilibrium. As long as they keep drinking water and keep sweating, they can maintain this indefinitely. Indefinitely? Admiral Vess said. Well, for several hours at least, Jiwan amended. Humans have run ultramarathons in 40-degree heat for 6, 8, even 12 hours. This is worse, yes, but the principle is the same. Continuous active cooling allows for extended operation. 32 minutes. Calibration point 11. Hana's vision was getting slightly blurry around the edges, but she blinked it away. Fatigue, not heat stroke. She knew the difference. Heat stroke came with confusion, with nausea, with loss of coordination. She had none of that. Just exhaustion. How much water do you have left? She asked Doyen. He checked his reservoir.
About 4 liters. You?
Same, we are doing fine. They completed point 11 and moved on. 35 minutes. Point 12. This was where the Vraxian team had failed completely, where their heat shielding had given out and they had to be evacuated unconscious. We are making history, Doyen said as he worked on the console. First team to reach point 12 and keep going. Let us reach point 17 before we celebrate, Hana said. But she was smiling. They were going to make it. She could feel it. 38 minutes. Calibration point 13. On the flagship, even Admiral Vess's antennae were raised high, a sign of excitement that the other species recognized. The humans were approaching the Clendari record now. Core temperature for Lieutenant Hana is 39.7 degrees. Medic Jiwan reported. Engineer Doyen is at 39.5. Both are sweating heavily. Hydration levels are good. Cardiovascular function is stressed but stable. Will they make it? Vess asked quietly. Yes, Jiwan said with confidence. They will make it, 39 minutes. Point 14. They were past the Klendari record now. No one had ever gone this far into the structure and continued working. Hana's entire body felt like it was on fire, but it was a manageable fire. She had been hotter in Phoenix. She had felt worse during marathons. This was just another challenge. Point 14 complete, she reported. Her voice was hoarse but clear. 3 points to go. Elapsed time 40 minutes. On the flagship, someone started clapping. Then someone else. Within seconds, the entire command center erupted in applause. Humans and aliens alike, celebrating the achievement even though it was not over yet. Admiral Vess did not clap. He simply watched the display, antennae perfectly still, completely focused. These humans were proving him wrong. They were proving everyone wrong. And he had never been happier to be incorrect. 42 minutes. Calibration point 15. Hana's hands were shaking now, but she forced them steady. Just 2 more points. Just a few more minutes. She could do this. Humans could do anything if they were stubborn enough. Almost there, Doyen said. He sounded tired but determined. My grandmother always said I was too stubborn to know when to quit. She would be proud right now. My grandmother said the same thing, Hana replied. Maybe stubbornness is a human genetic trait. Probably. Along with sweating and bad decisions. This is not a bad decision. This is a great decision. It is a great bad decision. They completed point 15 and moved to 16. 45 minutes elapsed. Their core temperatures had peaked at 39.9 degrees for Hana and 39.7 for Doyen. Just barely under 40 degrees. Just barely under what doctors would consider dangerous fever levels. But they were not sick. They were working. They were human. Calibration point 16 took only 2 minutes. The console responded perfectly, as if the structure itself wanted them to succeed, as if the ancient builders had designed this challenge for a species that could sweat. Point 16 complete, Hana said. 1 more. Just 1 more 47 minutes. They reached the final calibration point with seconds to spare. The central chamber of the structure opened before them, and there in the middle was the technology everyone had been trying to reach. It glowed softly in the dim light, waiting. Point 17, Doyen said. Let us finish this. They worked together, making the final adjustments. Hana's fingers moved over the controls one last time, entering the final sequence. The technology hummed to life. The shuttle docked with the flagship with a gentle thud that seemed too quiet for such a historic moment. Inside the airlock, Hana and Doyun waited for the pressure to equalize, both of them leaning against the walls, exhausted but smiling. I cannot feel my legs, Doyen said. I cannot feel anything, Hana replied, except hot. I can definitely feel hot. The inner door opened, and they were immediately surrounded by medical personnel. Medic Jiwan was at the front, scanner already out, checking their vitals with quick efficiency. Core temperatures are dropping, she said with satisfaction. 38.8 degrees for Hana, 38.6 for Doyun. Dehydration is moderate but manageable. Heart rates are elevated but steady. You two are going to be fine. Can we take these suits off now? Doyen asked. I think I am swimming in here. Yes, but slowly, Jiwan said. Let your bodies adjust to the temperature change. And drink this. She handed them each a bottle of electrolyte solution. Small sips. Your stomachs need to settle. They removed their helmets first, and the cool air of the flagship felt like a miracle. Hana took a deep breath and immediately started laughing. Relief, exhaustion, and triumph all mixed together in that sound. We did it, she said. We actually did it. The medical team helped them out of their suits, and Hana looked down at herself. Her uniform underneath was completely soaked with sweat. She was dripping, quite literally, creating small puddles on the deck. Doyen looked the same, his hair plastered to his head, his face red and shining with moisture. You look like you went swimming, a young alien medic said, sounding fascinated. We did, Doyen said, swimming in our own sweat. The medic made a note on their data pad, clearly storing this information for later study. The humans had become the subject of intense scientific interest in the last hour. Admiral Vess entered the medical bay, and immediately everyone stood straighter. He approached Hana and Doyen, his antennae lowered in a gesture of deep respect. Lieutenant Hana, Engineer Doyen, he said formally. On behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I thank you for your service. You have accomplished what we believed was impossible. The technology is secure and you are both safe. This is a great day. Thank you, Admiral, Hana said. She tried to stand at attention, but her legs were shaking. Jiwon immediately pushed her down into a chair. Sit, the medic ordered. You just spent 47 minutes in a furnace. You are allowed to sit. Admiral Vess's antennae twitched in what might have been amusement. Listen to your medic, Lieutenant. You have earned your rest. He paused, then continued in a quieter tone. I owe you an apology. Both of you and all humans. I called your species fragile. I called you water bags. I questioned your capability. I was wrong. You were not entirely wrong, Admiral, Hana said with a tired smile. We are water bags. Approximately 60% water, actually. But that is not a weakness. That is just what we are. And what you are, Vess said slowly, is remarkable. Come. The crew wants to see you. Can you walk? I can try, Hana said. With Jiwon's help, she stood on shaking legs. Doyen did the same. Together, they followed Admiral Vess out of the medical bay and toward the command center. The corridor was lined with crew members. Humans, aliens, dozens of species, all of them watching as the two exhausted humans walked past. Someone started clapping. Then everyone was clapping, the sound echoing through the metal halls. They are cheering for us, Doyen said quietly. They are cheering for what we represent, Hana replied. For what humans can do. They entered the command center and the applause grew louder. Captain Minho was waiting and he pulled both of them into a brief hug, not caring that they were soaking wet. Proud of you both, he said simply. Very proud. Dr. Yuna was there too, holding a datapad covered in notes. I have so many questions, she said excitedly. The thermal management, the physiological adaptation, the psychological endurance. We need to document everything. Later, Jiwon said firmly. They need food, water, and rest. Science can wait. A technician brought up the video recording of the mission on the main display. Everyone watched in silence as Hana and Doyen worked through the calibration points, their movements efficient despite the impossible heat. The timestamp ticked upward. 30 minutes, 35, 40, 47. The Vraxian team lasted 31 minutes, Commander Tavik said quietly. The Klendari, who evolved on a volcanic world, lasted 38. You humans lasted the full 47 minutes and completed all 17 calibration points. This is not just impressive, this is unprecedented. With respect, Commander, Doyen said, it is not unprecedented for humans. People run ultramarathons in deserts. They work in foundries and factories in extreme heat. They live in places where 50 degrees is normal in summer. We just did what humans have always done, and what is that? An alien scientist asked. We endured, Hana said simply. We did not try to be stronger than the heat. We did not try to resist it. We just managed it 1 minute at a time until the job was done. Admiral Vess was studying the video recording with intense focus. Your core temperatures reached nearly 40 degrees Celsius. For most species here, including my own, that would mean brain damage or death. Yet you continued working with full cognitive function. How? Humans run hot, Admiral, Dr. Yuna explained. She had joined the group, unable to resist the scientific discussion. Our normal body temperature is 37 degrees. During exercise or heat exposure, we can safely operate up to about 40 degrees for extended periods. Some humans have survived core temperatures of 42 degrees with medical intervention. We have a wider thermal operating range than most species. Because you evolved to hunt in heat, Vess said. It was not a question. Yes, Yuna confirmed. Persistence hunting. Our ancestors would track prey for hours, sometimes days, often in the heat of the day when other predators rested. The prey would run fast, overheat, and collapse. Humans would follow slowly, sweating constantly, maintaining safe core temperatures. We literally ran our prey to death through heat exhaustion. That is terrifying, someone said. That is evolution, Captain Minho replied. Every species adapts to their environment. Humans adapted to endure. Scientist Eris, the Klendari researcher, approached with her datapad. Lieutenant Hana, if I may ask, how do you feel right now? Hana considered the question. Exhausted, shaky, very thirsty. A little bit like I just ran a marathon. But not injured? No, just tired. Eris made several notes. Remarkable. A Klendari exposed to those conditions for that long would require medical regeneration. Extensive medical regeneration. Yet you simply need rest and water. And food, Doyen added. I need so much food right now. Jiwan smiled. Hyperphagia after intense exertion. Your body burned enormous amounts of energy. We will get you both fed. Admiral Vess raised one of his forehands, calling for attention. The command center quieted. I want to make a formal statement. Today we have witnessed something extraordinary. The human team has succeeded where others failed. Not through superior technology or greater strength, but through biological adaptation and sheer determination. He turned to face Hana and Doyen directly. I judged your species unfairly. I saw your need for narrow environmental conditions as weakness. I saw your physical fragility as a limitation. I called you water bags and I meant it as an insult. His antennae dipped low. I was wrong. Your biology is not a weakness. It is a highly specialized adaptation. You do not resist extreme environments. You manage them. You do not try to be stronger than the challenge. You simply outlast it. This is a form of strength I did not understand. Admiral, Hana said quietly, we are water bags. You were not wrong about that. But water is adaptable. It flows around obstacles. It finds a way through barriers. It endures. Being made of water is not an insult to us. It is just a fact. Vess's antennae rose slightly. A fact I will remember. And respect. Commander Tavik stepped forward. I have been thinking about what Medic Jiwan said during the briefing. About persistence hunting. About how humans chase prey until it collapses. You did the same thing today. You chased that technology through heat that would kill most beings. And you caught it. We did, Doyen agreed. Though I think I'm going to sleep for about 12 hours now. Laughter rippled through the command center, humans and aliens alike. The tension of the last few hours was finally breaking, replaced by celebration and relief. Over the next hour, the human team was properly debriefed. The technology was secured and prepared for transport to coalition research facilities. Medical scans confirmed that both Hana and Doyen were healthy, just exhausted and dehydrated. They would recover fully within a day or two. Later in the mess hall, Hana sat with a tray of food and a large bottle of water. Doyen sat across from her, eating with focused determination. They were still damp with sweat, still tired, but victorious. Do you think they understand now? Doyen asked. What humans are capable of, some of them do, Hana said. Others will need more time. But we showed them something important today. We showed them that there are different kinds of strength. Captain Minho joined them at the table, his own tray in hand. You two are going to be famous, he said. The humans who succeeded where everyone else failed. There will be interviews, scientific papers, probably a commendation ceremony. Can we skip all that and just sleep? Doyen asked. Eventually,